All right, so this is Samson and a kid. It's against the Zeppelin. 2 radars. Triple DD, up tiered. Vampire's scary.
Good luck. Fair seas. General quarters.
It's almost a minute into the match. You still haven't seen enemy planes. There we go. Planes over there. CV's probably on this side of the map, so yeah, you're fairly free to operate.
Concentrate fire on the target.
You are...
Smoke generator started.
Okay, 2 things. You have an Ochakov, which very well might just be dead to Iowa Monarch, Balti, all sorts of shit. He's already taken shots, probably going to die very shortly. You have US smoke, so you got a 30-second duration on this. You could have cut a smoke from this line down into the cap. You don't have a smoke... I mean, you wouldn't have a lot of room to maneuver against the Zeppelin, but the Zeppelin has shown that he's over here, so it's unlikely he's going to harass you, especially with the Marceau AA. There's just not a lot a Zeppelin can do. Like, it can torp things, but the bombs, the rockets, rare. If you cut a smoke line from this rock into the cap, you give your mines a lot of ability to shoot for free. You give your Ochakov ability to shoot for free. Granted, you would still need to be able to spot for them, which after the smoke line, you can maybe poke your nose out, orient to torpedoes coming in, and be able to spot some stuff.
Concentrate fire on the designated target.
Ochakov is going to be able to get in smoke, but he has to come into the cap to do it. And most of your smoke is just kind of in a puddle right here. Whereas if you kind of cut this line, I mean, you give people the ability to shoot behind the line, although theoretically they might light themselves to the mines.
Smoke screen set.
Radared by the pushing Baltimore.
Problem solved, sir. Torpedoes to port. The ship is on fire.
Took a lot of damage. Kid is going to be able to heal. Yeah, so lighting yourself to do 0 damage to a Baltimore when you've already taken shitloads of damage, your heal is cycling, and they're obviously YOLO. I mean, look at your position on the map. If on entrance you smoked from this island going into this island, you had your little smoke line, maybe your cruiser's kind of set up to do it, or maybe you cut a line like this, made a little smiley face or something that they can kind of bunker on and shoot from. They are vulnerable to Baltimore radar, which he popped a radar, he gave no fucks. This dude's just charging in and very well might die for it. But if we look at this, the mines is bailing. The Missouri is kind of stuck bow in, not really sure what to do. Ochakov is hiding behind a smoke screen for now, but I mean, like, this dude is, I don't know, maybe he's not murdered. Your Marceau said, fuck this, I'm gone. Yamato, fuck this, I'm gone. Shikaku reversed to the edge of the map so he can fly tired. There's too much stuff here to hold. As soon as, you know, you got into position and then all of a sudden we see, yeah, these guys are just like full YOLO. They're just charging right through past the cap. There are 5 of them and effectively 2 of you. Marceau fucked off, Mines is running, Missouri is kind of out in outer space, and the CV isn't even present. Shooting at the Baltimore, you're not going to get a kill. All you're going to do is light yourself for incoming fire from 5 enemy ships. So you are now in get the fuck out mode.
Problem solved, sir.
No, see, the reversing, other than reversing away from the island, is cool. Ochakov is dead.
Engine boost deactivated. Attention, reporting the target position.
So, okay, he was bowing before, so he's decided to commit to his decision and charge. Monarch is down, Mines is running. Balti is down, Monarch is down, and something else. Both of the battleships are dead? Okay, it turned around. There's a reason to stay. You might again want to try to smoke for either the Ochakov or the Mines. I'm really surprised this dude is not dead, but maybe they just were able to somehow dunk him. Dunking the battleships that would have killed him.
Affirmative.
Oh. Key. Yeah. I think the smoke for either the Mines or the Ochakov would be the better choice. I have to say the Vampire 2 is terrifying. That being said, if the Marceau can get on top of him, the Marceau should win the fight.
Smoke screen set.
And smoking a battleship is risky in randoms. If the battleship fires, they have something like a 10 to 15 kilometer smoke fire detection, so it's extremely likely they're just... The battleship player isn't going to notice. He'll shoot his guns anyway, be spotted, and then die. You have 9,000 health and no heals. Benson has about 15,000 health, and you are charging the Benson. I just want to point that out. So Vampire, Marceau Mine's trying to do the thing. You got the torp kill off, so that's cool. You go dark, Vampire goes down. Vampire was 3v1, so I mean he got taken out.
Attention, reporting the target position.
Probably torp him. Nope, Jukes eats the torp, does die. You work on the Montana. Eugen Bismarck. Asashio might be able to clap the Bismarck, but he cannot torp the Eugen, so the Eugen should actually kill him. Question is if it turns into a trade or not.
Affirmative. Engine boost deactivated.
And it was a trade, which is too bad. Well, it was a trade because the Shimakaze killed him, not the Asashio.
I need help.
So Veneto versus Shikaku. Your Shikaku is, I guess, pulling fire off the Veneto. Wow, I didn't know he was playing. Well, that's cool. It's good to see him again. 2 caps to 2, fairly close. Eugen back caps, that should lock it in. Once the Veneto dies, but your CV probably dies as well. He does. So realistically at this point, I have a feeling like you're going to charge the Shima, but the Shima has RPF because he's the last one on the team. You guys are up by 40 points and he's about to back cap while this dude's capping. You need to either run or start back capping as well. And you are not going to fight, which is correct. So he knows where you... This... I mean, it's possible that the Shimakaze is fucking amazing as whatever, and he's going to torp on this line because he can read your RPF. But the wiggle stuff, all that's doing is slowing you down. And the Shimakaze is probably faster than you. Torp boats in general are pretty zippy. Okay. So, and we did see, even though you did the wiggle stuff, the torps were behind you. So if you had just kept a solid course, he would have he would have ended up torping behind you anyway. You would have gotten to the cap faster. But you did get the kill in the end, which is nice. Well, your team pulled it back, which is pretty cool. I did not see that coming. I saw their YOLO basically just overtaking the cap and ripping your dudes to shreds. What else is in here? Alright, well, this is, I don't know if there's a CV in this. This is a Yamato game. Yeah, smoke firing at a battleship's pretty bad. Don't need to go in for the cap if the other DD is in it. Well, the other DD was a Marceau. Marceau has no ability to hide. So there's no CV in this. Minisir, is there something I'm looking for with this? If you're here? Looks like he is not. Well, if there's no CV to this, I'm just gonna go ahead and skip it. Alright, so we'll X that one. Okay. This is a clan battle replay that was submitted. So let me go ahead and do this. Do that. And this isn't a Hakuryu, so this will be something we can comment on. All right, so this is New Cap versus MRL. MRL favoring the double battleship style. Yamato not a joke with the extreme overmatch capability. We'll see what the initial deployment is. And also the initial choice on planes. Okay, so first off, you chose rocket planes. It's perfectly fine. Don't be afraid if you've got snipe potential, which you kind of don't. You don't have Stalingrads. You have a Montana, but you don't have Stalingrads. The reason you might want to consider burning this engine boost while you're going across is if you light this Stalin 6 seconds earlier, you know, that's 6 seconds faster. Your Montana might take the shot and surprise him. That being said, it's perfectly fine. You could drop a fighter here just to keep both flanks lit. The real question comes in on do you reset the safe cap or not? Oh man, sorry. Which I guess we'll see what you end up doing there. Okay, so this is an extreme push. They're all going to alpha. So this is what's considered a safe to safe cap push, which is not completely uncommon with double battleship. Because double battleship, if they're split in two pieces, they might get hammered by CVs. They might get hammered by independent operations. Because right now they have no idea what your deploy is, none, because they don't have a CV. Now, double battleships has more potential to rip a ship off the map. The Yamato could blap the Montana, blap the Des Moines, blap the Petro or something because of its extreme gun capability. But right now, they have no idea where you're deploying. So they've decided all to deploy together. And one thing to recognize with this is that if you even attempt to strike into this, all you're doing is losing planes. If you want to keep this stuff lit so the Montana can take some long-range shots, the Petro can take some long-range shots, that's cool. But as soon as you see this, you have to know they're going to A and then they're coming to B. So your Marceau gets B and bails. Your Petro is going to take a position to get resets, maybe somewhere down here where he can fire and shoot in. They do have a daring, so the daring is probably right there. If the Petro is able to kind of keep that 12-kilometer radar, that's cool. You might want to have the Hindenburg swing back because realistically, this is completely abandoned. Colbert wants to come over, take it, and start swinging around to do crazy torp stuff. He could do that, but these guys need to pull off and brace against this push. So you do not strike, which is great. So you have two options. One, you can drop a fighter and continue to look from a different angle, or you can just keep things lit. And now we know that the daring is in the cap. You guys are continuing over to Charlie, which is okay in the sense that the Des Moines might bolster off an island to get some crossfire shots as they're trying to move across. That's an option. But if it was the Petro could take a position and be extremely tanky while doing it. The Des Moines, not so much. He has to kind of trundle into a position on an island or something, and then that is a fair amount of distance. Probably okay. Your Marceau is overextended, so by moving up this far, I don't know exactly what the detection on a Marceau is, but I assume he's detected out to about here. If this daring happened to be where you are now, this dude gets lit, shot by a Nevsky, and possibly reset. And then you might not ever get this cap as you're immediately pushed off. The Marceau comes in, hugs the back of this because you guys have information because you're in a CV. And then he's going to want to either play back safe or maybe take a weird angle to get some torps in, but be able to give himself a way out. The daring is playing back because he doesn't want to eat the fury of a CV for free. Yeah, no resets is what it is, but everybody is in a giant herd. Now, as for your CV position, there's two ways to look at this. They have 440,000 effective health on the board because it's all in ships. 440,000, all of that health matters, and literally, because the daring has a heal, all of them have healing. You, on the other hand, have, with 63,000 health, you have about 298,000 effective health on the board if you remove your CV from the situation. That's 440,000 versus a little under 300,000. So your surface ships, if it's 6v7, they have to take, not only do they have to do a shitload of damage, but they have to mitigate a lot of damage. And Hindenburg's going to eat some, Des Moines' going to eat some, your DDs don't have heals. There's a huge gap here. So you're in a Hakuryu, you have an armored deck, which is a huge asset. If you put your Hakuryu here, where it's kind of like aimed, you know, bow into this, Yamatos might take some pot shots at you, other people might take some pot shots, and if they skip rounds off your deck, or if they shatter HE on your deck, those are shells put into you that are not put into your teammate. And think of it this way. If you see how tightly clustered this death ball is, what are your planes going to do other than die? The answer is nothing. So if you're not going to be able to get much health damage at all, the best thing you can do is to pull some damage onto you. And with your extremely armored deck, because people will always shoot at a CV if they see it, especially, I mean, if they don't really have a plan, they're just kind of going for it. If you put your CV here, kind of bow in, all you have to do is sort of reverse subtly. You know, just, hey, look, I'm in a CV. Oh, you want to shoot me? Oh, what's up, buddies? If you're running for cover, yeah, they might potentially kill you over time. Yeah, you'll lose planes, but you either don't matter or you matter really late game, in which case your team has to get to late game. So I don't think you need to be running for cover, because usually that just means you watch all your teammates die and you're the last person alive. So good news is enemy is lit. Bad news is your Montana is still committed. So as soon as you saw this ball of death, your Montana swings out like this. That way he's angled to the Yamato fire, and if he wants to, he can bail. Your Petro swings out like this. That way he's angled to the incoming fire and he can bail. So by default in a clan battle setting, if you don't know what's happening, be ready to run. If you do know what's happening, make the correct decision. Are you pushing or are you running? That's the question. In this case, this is a giant fuckball. This is death. This is a wrecking ball that gives no fucks about nobody. So your Montana at this point is either committed and turns this way or tries to YOLO turn in front of double Yamato and all of their friends. So this Montana is dead. Unless he'll go down fighting, but he's dead. The Petro similarly might be stuck behind an island, and actually that could be good in the sense that it might force them to come down and deal with him. But if they take these two caps, that's their win condition. You have to come dislodge them. If you guys instead were maybe in positions back here where they're coming over to get this cap, you're bleeding health, but you're getting resets, you're slowing them down. These guys are trundling into position. You've got kind of a crossfire because they're just like sitting in this area right here. That's where you start, you know, taking that health out from behind him. You have a Kleber that can come over and try to drop torps, maybe go over and back cap. Like, you got some options there, but it's going to talk... As soon as you see this, it's how are you going to defend against all of the incoming fire while getting efficient trades. So Petro isolated. He pushed forward, so you get some damage here, which is nice. Good. You even pull him off of line a little bit, so he's not pushing B, he's now outside. And potentially taking a lot of damage from the Petro in the south. So this was not a coordinated advance. Their Petro goes down. Nice. Bomb's going to be a little tough. You can breach through this, but you're going to lose a lot for it. Also, bombing open water in a Hakuryu is hard. Can great players do it? Sure. Can you practice it in a training room? Sure. But it's not set to be a Hakuryu's strength. So realistically, if you're going to bomb something, you're going to try to bomb the Stalingrad. The Yamato's AA isn't amazing, but it's flak. More flak walling, more shit to dodge, more obnoxious stuff screwing up your attack line. And you'd even have to strike over a Stalin. Striking onto the Des Moines in front, the Des Moines could just turn fairly easily, which would throw off your bombs by a considerable margin. Pre-dropping is okay. You might not get to your target if you don't bring enough planes. Realistically, in this case, you either continue with your torps or you rocket, and you could still have your CV in this position, potentially to accept fire and pull it off of your teammates. Note, your Des Moines is already dead. He really needed to stay on an island position to stay safe while showering damage over, and potentially moving to go to pressure a back cap with the Kleber. The Hindi could be, you know, derping around whatever kind of long range shooting, but it looks like he's also taken some pretty nasty amounts of damage. So still, you're bracing against the push. Good news is your Montana has gotten out. However, your Montana has put himself in timeout. He's staring at the wall. So your Montana this is where he's gonna die. This is where he is. Granted, you might kill them before they kill you, but your Montana has no ability to get out other than like humping the wall, and that's awkward. Petro's taken a decent position where he's got the island kind of blocking him, and he's like, hey, you want to push this? Bro, I'm gonna hurt you. So this is a dislodge position, which is actually pretty cool. The fact that he's able to get in there, I mean, the daring could come over and try to torp into it, could try to harass from down here or something and dislodge him. But if the daring's not going to do that, this guy actually has some really nice warding shots in case they want to try to get into Bravo. Daring is in B. Okay. I think it was, you needed to lead just a little bit more. The reticle on the replay is going to be incorrect. It's off by like half a second. Okay, so the Petro is not using the island. The Petro moved past the island, which suddenly shows everybody his side, and this dude gets straight up dunked. Now, if he was using the island in like a super aggressive kind of way that he could kind of just mitigate all kinds of damage and still sort of threaten people, yo, you want to come in here? You're going to take this cap in the ass. He didn't stop. And because he didn't stop, he's like, I don't know if he's going to try for a ram, but there's too many guns. The answer is no. Okay, so y'all are down. Again, 329,000 effective health on their team. Every single player on their team has a heal. So 329 plus healing you haven't even seen yet, versus 63,000 health taken off of this. You've got 124,000 health effective on your team. And the Kleber doesn't heal, the Marceau doesn't heal, and who knows how many heals the Hindi's gone through. This is an extreme, you know, you guys are almost like out health 2-to-1. You have to get your CV pulling fire off of your teammates. You have to. It's not optional. And I mean, your teammates have to do the best that they can. He wall slid and then spun around? Well, I think this is like a YOLO panic move. And now he's turning to give broadside to everybody to run away. I mean, just sitting down here at an angle shooting would have been better than that. That's pretty rough. Alright, so you are assisting the Kleber with the back cap. This is cool, plus the Hindi's able to assist. Ideally, the Des Moines would be back here able to help too. But he kind of went mid-channel and got taken out. And right now, this isn't so much about landing torps. This is about trying to make this dude dance while you guys are dumping damage into him. Now, if you wanted, you could try to save the torp drops to try to get the best chance you can. But hopefully he just doesn't dunk your dudes. You need your health bar to live.
The enemy is about to all stations. Concentrate fire on the target.
AP bombs, I mean, it's kind of all you got. Maybe get a single pen. There we go. Citadel works too.
Enemy cruiser foundered.
Your Hindi is about to be focused. Your Montana is dead. Kleber's gonna come in with the back cap. Stalin radar, Des Moines radar is out of position to deal with that. Hindi is dead. They have 2 full health Yamatos. So if we think about that, that's 200,000 health, plus probably another 50,000 in healing for both. So at this point, in order to win, all you have to do is 300,000 health to take out 2 battleships, an additional 60,000 health to kill the Stalingrad, and you're still not done. So if you could just pull out a 400, maybe 500,000 damage game with 0 additional torps other than what you've got, 4 AP bombers plus what's returning, and 5 rocket planes, then you're gonna be able to save this one. Yeah, the back cap was good. That was good play by the Kleber, but they went on 1 cap. So it's just too far now. So let's just run this one out. Okay. So let me go ahead and pop the check mark, and then I will look at chat because I think he has asked some questions. All right, let me scroll back up in chat and we can make this a little more interactive. We can watch me check out chat. What is this? Smoke the Cruise, that was from the previous one. Fast and the Curious, thanks for the replay reviews, sure. Okay, you could not reset them ever. It's a DD and Cruiser A, you won't get a strike off. That's correct. So that's the Daring didn't, you know, pull so far ahead of his team that you had an option to. You didn't. You went in for the YOLO reset. Hey, you know, maybe you get lucky. It just technically buys your team a few points in terms of a lead, maybe. But like I was talking about in that early game, as soon as you guys identified, holy crap, all of them are down there, then either your Des Moines Hindi need to reposition, or your Des Moines tries to bunker on that island and safely shower damage in while they're moving, and then move over to support the Kleber. The Hindenburg could have come back and done like some max range HE farming, because I think the Hindi's range is like 21 to 24 kilometers. It's something stupid. So the Hindenburg could have like been out at a distance, just kind of showering in damage while they're in the cap. Because at that range, he should have been able to kind of maneuver and maybe keep himself safe. The Montana overcommitted. That did not help him. The Petro also did not get into a kiting position. The island position could have been strong, but it wasn't going to work out, especially when he came around the island and then just got nailed. So there's a lot of positional stuff to go over, which one of the best things you can do in clan battles is to do replay reviews and kind of look at what happened and think, well, how could we have done this differently? Okay, just didn't know what to do, just wanted to cycle planes. In that situation, you don't have anything you can do because there's just one giant fuckball of doom. That's one of the things where a lot of people are going to say, well, CVs are extremely strong. CVs can do this, they can do that, they can do this. In that position, you can't help. It's a 7v6. You cannot do anything, not anything meaningful. The amount of planes you have to throw away just to be able to do something is extreme. Their Petro helped you when he just like cut out in front of his team and said, hey, torp me, bruh. So he allowed you to join the party and do something for about 2 minutes, and then you went right back to, well, fuck, I can't do anything again. That's part of the weakness of the carrier. It's on the enemy team to exploit that, and if they do, congratulations, you've got really good spotting. So the best you could do is kind of pull in your ship's health and just try to bait fire really at that point. Should you have focused the Yamato early on? No, because you never could. There was never a point where the Yamato was not escorted by at least 3 cruisers and a second Yamato. Like there's no interaction there. There's no positive way. There is no way in hell that you deal 150,000 damage to a Yamato that's sitting on top of 4 ships. None. There's no possible way. You go on with 12 torps, you hit him twice. Congratulations, you did 15,000 damage and you lost 12 planes. You can do it a second time, you did another 10 because you didn't have a full rack of 12 and you lost them all. Like your entire match damage output would be like 30,000 damage, and then you just get to watch everybody die while you have no planes. Like, that's not better. It's nice to be doing something, but there's only so much you can do. What option do you have as a CV player against a death ball? Spotting. That's the option you have. Now, if you go on the forums, you're going to see lots of people, spotting is OP. Well, it's OP because your team can shoot. But if they have 500,000 health and you have 250,000 health, congratulations, guys. I'm looking at them for you. But there's still the trade. Like, your team is going to melt. It's just not going to go anywhere. Spotting OP, but there wasn't a lot of options there. But it is what it is. So we'll look at, I think you had another one. We'll check that out. In summary, I think the tips for me as CV were put your health to take shells off your team, spotting, find some ships that go out of the death ball and help with DPM. That is the best that you can do. That was what you were limited to in terms of options. Which sucks, but that's what you were limited to. If somebody straight off, you could attack them. You attacked the Petro. You attacked the Nevsky later. That it's straight off. You were able to kind of do some work on that. I think you landed one torpedo and he danced around a bit. Realistically, if he's not stuck under the guns of a battleship, he can turn. And that's exactly what he did. The Hindenburg's chucking probably HE, so I mean, he's spinning around. He's not worried about citadel damage. So if he's just spinning in a circle, there's only so much torpedo stuff you're going to be able to do. The Hawk is not nimble. Spotting is great in that you can see where the enemy ships are going and if they break up. Because if they do break up, then you know you can do something, or you know your team can try to make a play. So spotting, yes, and very important. I mean, the fact that you guys had the information that they were in a death ball meant that you had the ability to change your entire positioning to deal with the death ball, as opposed to just being like, surprise motherfuckered, as they swung around and, oh my god, there's 7 of them here, and they just eat 3 of your ships and then kill everybody else. Okay. Sorry, a lot of talking. I've wanted to do replays, and I just, to Pork Dumpling, as well as everybody else in the audience, please forgive me. When I look at replays, I try to just go in and give you anything that I see. Which unfortunately could be like, dude, can you just stop fucking harping on this? Can you just like, just stop? I'm not trying to harp. I'm just trying to point out stuff often as loudly and consistently as I can. It's actually a teaching technique to hit through reinforcement. So if you can see the same issue happening multiple times, you can call it out multiple times, it reinforces it and kind of seals it in memory. I liked the fighter on the Colbert. He does have a Hindi, but the Hindi's AA range is not great, and theoretically this guy could try for resets. So it just gives him a little incentive not to. This... I'm a little confused by this. There's 2 things that are happening here which are interesting. One is, I'm assuming if you came this way, you're spotting. Okay, cool. We spotted the Nevskys going in. Awesome. So you got a good scout. You're coming over, and there's a small, and there's your Marceau. Marceau does not have a smoke screen. So if the Marceau is hurriedly trying to dive into Charlie to just get there to get it done, well, there's a CV that can light him. And if the CV does light him, then the Smolensk is going to start ripping into him, or at least is going to be trying, because it's a pretty fair distance. So if your planes are over here to try to bully this off to give your Marceau some breathing room, I kind of understand, but at the same time, your planes are not going to kill a Smolensk. Versus, if instead of coming on this line, you came on this line, or maybe you just dropped this, ran over here, spotted, swung over, and then your planes would be right here as the Nevsky enters the cap. You loiter for about 15 seconds and then swing over, bam, hit the Nevsky, get a reset. It'll give you like a 10-point lead overall because of the reset. So instead of having like your Colbert finishes the cap, you're up 10, maybe 15 points. You hit the Nevsky, you're up 15 to 25 points. That's a real and immediate benefit to your team if your planes were here, because they can get you points. They have a Marceau which is pushing as well. You might be able to get the reset here if you pop the engine boost, maybe. Otherwise, you could try to go on the Marceau and try to bully him off. Okay. All right, you were able to save the reset, which is great. So you guys are already up 9 points. Probably get up to about 20, maybe 25. And double Marceau against them. Yours does not commit. So I'm just trying to figure out, what are your torps doing here? What is the goal of this? It could be to spot, but if you spot the Petro in roughly this position, nobody really takes advantage of it. If you spot the Thunderer in that position, nobody really takes advantage of it. The Thunderer is escorted by a Petro and a Nevsky. You're not really going to be able to just joyride all over him. The thing that's happening on the map right now, you've achieved your safe cap. They have achieved their safe cap. You guys are up 24 points. Now, the entire focus of this match is either on A, is the enemy team threatening our safe cap and do we have to bolster up and defend? Or B, who takes the contested? So either A, it's you're looking at this and what's happening over here. So maybe your torpedo planes are looking for like, well, what's going on? Or B, you need to be on top of this. Is it likely that you're going to be able to torpedo a Marceau? No, but you do have a heal. And you have a Des Moines and a Montana and a Petro and a Marceau that can be shooting at these dudes while you're on top of them. If you go over here, you can harass and potentially land a torp, or better, guide their turns. If you torp them and they have to swerve, well then your enemy team or your team knows where to shoot. I don't know what you're intending to get out of the middle here unless you just drop a fighter for general spotting and then go to the Marceau, but I think the Marceau is where the action is right now. Okay, so if you go on this Nevsky Thunderer, if you land torps to the Nevsky, that's going to work well for you because for the most part that damage is going to stick. But this is where everything's happening right now. You know, this is the place to be. And the Nevsky is actually very angled. You might get one. You do. Nevsky's still extremely angled. Torps into the Thunderer don't matter here. He has too much health. He's not pushing. Nothing's really happening with the Thunderer, although he might be taking long-range shots. Unless you get a detonation, this dude doesn't die. So taking your time and resources to do something which doesn't yield anything useful is just wasting. And while you're over here, what happened to Charlie? They took Charlie. Well, obviously the Marceaus weren't radared by the Des Moines or the Petro because they just went ahead and took it and didn't get reset. If you were over here kind of like on top of them, maybe you keep them out of the cap while your team trundles into position and kind of figures out how it wants to handle things. So this is going to give them an advantage long term because they've got 2 caps to 1, and you guys have to figure out how the hell you're going to get in there to take it with 1 Marceau against 2, which is kind of dangerous as hell. You don't have a smoke screen or anything, so I mean it's just full-on open water dealing with it, right? All right, so we got 12.6 into a Thunderer. He's not particularly able to heal that, but that's still like 80,000 damage to take this dude off the map. Hindy's not going to do it. These dudes are busy with the Marceau and stuff. It's just, this isn't going to matter moving forward. And take a quick drop or whatever because you're there. All right, so Kleber has rotated off. This actually, if the enemy sees this, and I believe they just did, that means that these two, a battleship and a Nevsky against a Hindi and nothing else. Although maybe there's a Kleber sharking around or something the CV could stick on top of, because Kleber AA is not amazing. This is a signal to the enemy team that they could start to push this and actually take the 3rd cap. So contested is lost and the back cap is now in threat because you've had to rotate resources off of it. Secondly, because you do not have smoke, how do you get in? I don't have an answer for that. Right now, this is looking extremely tough. Okay, so you got some bombs. Bombs aren't going to do any damage to the Marceaus, but they're going to keep them lit. And if they're lit, that means your teammates are going to be taking shots at them. You do a pre-drop just so you can juke some AA, which is perfectly okay. All right. Drop a fighter central in the team. You could try to bomb the Petro. Petro radar is certainly a thing. One of those Marceaus is looking pretty roasted. You did lose your Des Moines, but hopefully your Petro can clock that other Marceau. He gets away with 1100. That might be something to send rockets to, but it can be tempting to chase the kill, but there's a lot of other shit going on right now, and if this dude's fucking off, he's not really a problem right now. Right now, you've got a Marceau looking to try and cap. You got a Colbert looking to support. I think you either have to be climbing on top of this Marceau to keep him busy, although it looks like he's pretty bunkered up. He's just trying to hide. Or you have to go in on the Petro, and that means diving a fighter, which means losing planes. But if you can keep this guy suppressed, no matter how many planes you're throwing at him, it's more likely you can take this cap. And if you take it, then they have to retake it. And you can hopefully make that work in your favor. Okay, what I'm seeing here is I think you're being asked to chase the Marceau and AP bombs. You're not going to kill this. You're going to lose. Well, I mean, you might bomb a Smolensk, but right now you're not assisting here. And this is where the action is. So you're off in a part of the map that's just not being influential. All right, so the small smokes, Petro's still trundling up. Your Marceau did lose half of his health. Your Colbert also got pretty beat up. And once again, you do not have this cap. Your Hindi is actually pushing now because this is so desperate. He's trying to make a play on Bravo. I mean, might work out. At this point, you either have to figure out how do you get your way in here, or you have to heavily support the Hindenburg to try to figure some way to make this Holy Grail mission work out. The Marceau is just not going to be dislodged unless the Petro gets really good shots into him. Get a drop with 2. Might be Citadels. It's a Petro. So if you can work on the Nevsky, you can help your Hindenburg here. Even if it's just keeping the Nevsky lit when the Kleber hides, Hindenburg could maybe clap that with some AP. Cool. So I like this. The Nevsky is angled to the Hindi. Granted, the Hindi was probably going to die to the Thunder, but the Nevsky is angled to the Hindi unless you torp him, in which case if this dude turns, the Hindenburg AP might shred this guy. There are the shots. He almost overturns. Staying on top of him. Get him to turn again. So, I mean, it's a Hail Mary mission. This dude's pinched between 2 ships. Didn't pan out, but you tried. Good news is, everybody looked at this so hard that the Montana took Charlie. Or maybe the Marceau took Charlie while everybody shot the Montana or something. But you did actually you were able to, this was so loud and so noisy that you made something happen over here, which is pretty badass. Unfortunately, they still win off of even a solo cap because they win in 2 minutes. But it's a good take. So at this particular point, I mean, the bombing on the Nevsky, or sorry, the bombing on the Petro worked out well. I think you got, well, I guess 1 Citadel, although really I think you should have gotten 2. Working on the Nevsky is probably the easiest source of points, or potentially looking for this Marceau, although he could just be all the way down here by now. The Nevsky is the closest source of points. Any kills you can get buy you a little more time, although realistically it's 3 against 7. So it's pretty done by this point. But focusing on something that can get you a kill is going to be the next priority, and that would probably be the Nevsky. Okay. So go back to chat. You even recording this from your side? Oh, okay, cool. Well, this will be in past broadcasts, so you'll have access to this, you know, even after this is done. You can rewatch this. Maybe you can watch this with your group if you want to, and y'all can all just kind of like think about stuff. I don't know. Like, replay reviews are one of the best tools that you're going to have to get to work better as a team. Because as you move and you take positions, see how it works out. See what does work. See what doesn't work. When you're in the middle of the moment, you're thinking, you know, oh shit, this is happening. This is that. When you can pull back and you can just kind of look at it from the spectator seats. Ooh, that's not going to work. Oh yeah, that didn't work out. Damn. Like it just gives you that distance, which allows you to kind of figure out what did and didn't work. Priority should be contested Cap and Marceau. Wrong target selection. You weren't sure what to do at the time. Good advice. Yeehaw. You were hoping to get Petro/radar off. He did fuck off that Marceau. It was really frustrating, yeah. You were asked to spot the Marceau. So that is something that happens a lot. It happens to me as well, where there's a low health ship that's bailing. An enemy ship that's killed can't hurt you anymore. An enemy ship that's killed is worth points. An enemy ship that's killed doesn't have a chance to heal and come back, you know, as a significant threat. So there's a lot of good in chasing down and killing that retreating ship. But sometimes there's a building on fire and there's a crying baby and there's another kid that ran off or something that you just saved. Do you go after the kid that's running that you saved from the fire because, well, you don't want him to run and get scared and disappear and get stolen or something? Or do you go in after the kid that's literally in a burning building? Being in a CV is filled with tough choices. And because you have the possibility to do so many different things, you're stuck with the situation of what is the best thing to do right now. You're going to have a lot of people that are going to want to chase that kill. And sometimes that's the right choice. But sometimes that's going to take a lot of fucking time. And you don't have that time to deal with that right now. And sometimes you just have to say, no, I can't do it. This is what we're working on. This is what matters now. And you have to tell them no. So sometimes as a CV, you just have to like put your foot down, not doing it. And if they get mad, yell at each other after the match. Or better yet, look at the replay. Do you upload the replay analysis to your YouTube? I have uploaded some, but I should probably upload more. Being realistic, I probably should upload more. I don't know how many people actually watch it, but just for archival purposes, because if we're spending all the time doing this, we might as well keep it so that it might be useful. Okay, so these were 2 clan battles. Target selection. I think I'll just try to go through what's here. So this sounds like this is going to be a highlight game because he said he missed a Kraken by a little bit. But whatever. Are you contested Cap/Petro at sea? Enemy Hawk put fighters on him a lot. Should you sacrifice planes to go for that drop instead of waiting out? No, but that's one of those things where, let me do this, starting this replay. Okay, so that's one of those things where when you were torping the Nevsky in the first match, and like toward the end, there's a Colbert, there's a Hindenburg, they're both shooting at the Nevsky, you're torping it. Were you getting tons and tons of damage on the Nevsky? No. But what were you doing? You were tying him up. If bombers are coming in on a Petro, even if he has a fighter, there's a good chance that the Petro isn't staring down the barrels of his gun trying to kill bitches. There's a good chance he hears his AA going off, and he looks to find you and he hits the priority sector or something, and then he goes back. And then he's worried about getting bombed in Citadel. The more that you can overwhelm a player, sometimes that's a smokescreen for your allies. And if it costs planes, you got more planes. That being said, don't be stupid. But if you can, the more you can smokescreen and, make everything loud and noisy and strange, the more likely your Marceau has a little more breathing room to try to get some capping in, because the Petro isn't shooting at him, he's looking at you because he doesn't want to get dunked with citadels or something. Oh shit, so he slows and he starts to rudder or whatever to avoid your bombs. It's not about getting the kill in that point, it's about being noisy. That being said, if you're not going for the cap and you can't secure the kill, then yeah, don't waste planes. Only use your resources where you see it's going to get you something. And that could be a kill. It could be bullying somebody so badly that they bail, like the Marceau bailed. Or it could be just to keep them overwhelmed. All right, so this is Shadow Side in the Ryujo.
General quarters.
Going out with rocket planes. I do tend to advocate that if you're going to go out on an initial scouting run, try to go out to a flank and then be able to cut across to be able to scout multiple areas. In this case, you tripped across an eagle. You hit him with 3 rockets, which is nice. There are 3 destroyers, so bullying a destroyer definitely going to be useful, because 3 DDs is too many DDs. You get another little bit of chip damage, and he's going to go ahead and smoke. And he's going to not use his smoke. So you just shoot him again. Sure. So you were able to chisel a lot off the eagle. Meanwhile, your Atlanta got hurt. But at least you gave your Fubuki some breathing room. Looks like he smoked and he's probably going to take Charlie, which is cool. You're coming back with Torps to kind of give him more breathing room. Miyoko, Nelson. Miyoko is the better target. Good. Oh, that hits. That's 2. Or 1. He slammed on the brakes. Okay.
Attention. Reporting the target position.
Miyoko's super low. You're going for bombs on the Nelson. Nelson, British battleship with a raised citadel. So this is pretty cool. Y'all got Charlie. Your Atlanta got pretty beat up. You lost to Veneto, who overcommitted. But I mean, you're providing a lot of pressure mid here, and I mean, you're getting results. You got some great damage into the Miyoko. You got some great damage into the Eagle. Now you're gonna start working the Nelson. Citadel damage on a battleship is only 10% repairable. 2, no. That's gonna be a little tough. You lose 1 plane, you lose another plane. You might only drop with a single bomb, depending on how quickly you get this out. Kill? Kill.
Enemy cruiser destroyed.
Rocket planes for what? The Icarus? I think you have to stay on the Nelson right now. That would be torpedoes. Because the Nelson, I mean, is gonna... There we go. So you're seeing that. I see a lot of indecision here. So the Nelson was able to get to the snuggly arms of the Bismarck, but the Bismarck doesn't have great AA. So you still could have gotten some work in on the Bismarck done. This is going to be a cluster. So this is a whole bunch of stuff on top of each other. You're in a tier 6 CV. Sure, I mean, the AA off this isn't crazy, but there's not a lot of way in on this. You could bomb the Bismarck. That would probably get you Citadel. Citadel damage into battleships, either through torps or through bombs, is no joke. Alright, you reacquire the Eagle. You know, he's probably a newer player. Still figuring some stuff out. Okay. So he does go down. You don't know where the Icarus is. Nelson is starting to isolate again with the bow down nose. Icarus is probably over there. So...
Concentrate fire on the designated target.
Okay, Icarus is showing. I still think you need to work on the Nelson. Nelson has a lot of healing. That's kind of one of its gimmicks. It's got a super heal. Any Citadel damage you get into the Nelson really breaks its ability to super heal. Kind of stunts its growth, you know? Instead of a healthy, vibrant teenage man coming to deflower your daughter, he's just, you know, sort of a wimpy pre-serum Captain America. you know, and you're just
All
not that
stations,
worried about them.
Concentrate fire on the target.
Good drop. That's probably a kill. Fine.
Roger.
But you got a lot of damage into him. He wasn't able to heal through it. Good stuff.
Concentrate fire.
Think you're trying to spot the Icarus here? No, now you're just going for the hipper. It's fine. Might get lucky. You do.
Enemy cruiser sunk.
So the Icarus is a problem. Also, your Z-23 probably needs some assistance. I mean, not to say the Furious is going to dunk him, but he's got nobody around him at all. And your Z is the protection against the Icarus, so you might actually want to drop this dude some fighters. You do have fighters available.
Good game, everyone. Many thanks.
Right, well, you're still... Y'all have caps. New Mexico's not going to have tons of AA. You might get 2 drops on this if you do it's a kill. With that shell damage, it might be a kill, but I don't think it is. It is with flooding, though. Icarus still a problem. Bismarck you can torp. Or Massachusetts is like a raid boss. You can't F with this dude. There's the Icarus.
All stations requesting fire on the designated target.
Alright, well, you get to chip and chisel this dude. Looks like you did run. Just drop a fighter.
Torpedoes astern.
There we go. Well, he left his smoke.
Fighter airborne.
This guy subscribed to the Eagle rules of
Enemy destroyer
playbook of smoke usage. Alright. There's a Massachusetts and there's a Bismarck. You can't do anything against this. You can do something against that. Unfortunately, at this particular moment, this might be the thing that's bearing down on your dudes. But I see much plane loss in your future, young Skywalker. You can Citadel the Bismarck. Bismarck's AA is probably like half of what the Massachusetts is. This dude's gonna roast like 3 planes before you come in. Now, he might have had a bunch of AA blown off, but the Massachusetts tends to be pretty resilient in terms of AA.
Concentrate fire on the target.
Use a little island cover. Only lose 2.5 planes. That's gonna be the next one, and you probably lose more. How many you get out? Showed up with 8. You lost 4.
Fighter destroyed.
So 4 planes to deal about 7,000 damage. Not that that's terrible, but it's a raid boss. You don't get another drop. Maybe. Nah. Drop the toy. Ah, so close. I think that's the Kraken you wanted or whatever. All right. So Bismarck.
Our victory is in sight.
Well, I do want to say this. Going after the Massachusetts, he ate a bunch of planes. You didn't get a lot of damage, but he was the focus target. It's never a bad idea to go after the focus target. Sometimes you're taking the hard rolls. Sometimes you're dealing with the stuff. You're losing fucking planes. Going after the Massachusetts is the correct play, especially because the Bismarck has this much health. I don't really know where the Bismarck it was in terms of health, because sometimes you can go a long time without respotting something. You don't have additional information. But going after the Massachusetts was correct. You did about 8,000 to 9,000 damage, but that's still 8,000 to 9,000 damage the Lion, the Colorado, the Z didn't have to do. Cool. Alrighty, chat. Snuggly arms of the Bismarck, yep. So, where were we? Midway, I guess. Kannst du dich stoffen? you can strike your Itago for good damage, Petro for mediocre damage, Goliath for rare. Rocket plane, so that could be a threat to you. It's got a few things you could bomb. Triple DD, so you do have an advantage in that sense.
Good luck, everyone.
Heading out with rocket planes.
Anti-aircraft fire support.
This is not correct. If I see this correctly, you have interceptors, so odds are you want to drop interceptors and maybe catch this dude. Richthofen planes go 230 knots, as opposed to the FDR, which is like 160. Trying to trap this is fundamentally different than trying to work on the FDR, and Richthofen torps do like 8,000 damage. They're not a huge threat. Richthofen AP rockets are the biggest threat that it has. It's more that you would drop a fighter here for the lightning to give him breathing room and then move on. Don't play chase the Richthofen. Your planes are slower than it, so it's unlikely you're going to be in a position to be able to block it. Just pre-drop a fighter, set it in a place where it's going to do the thing, and then the destroyer is going to have all kinds of breathing room to do what he's going to do, because there's nothing that an enemy CV can do to pull the fighter off of the DD. You might catch there. If it's enhanced reactions, it does, which it does. So that should actually kill planes because he didn't recall.
Enemy force detected.
Okay.
Find the target position. Fighter airborne.
Oh, buddy. How you doing? You going for the Baltimore?
Engaging enemy.
That's some cheeky shit. He's reversing pretty hard. That might be 4, unless he slows down. You got 5. 5 into the Baltimore is no joke, because the Baltimore cannot heal. And you got 1 into probably the Burgoyne. Alright, so once again, you drop the fighter, give him some room to breathe. Now, this is a good question. Do you work on the Summers or do you work on the Amagi? According to this, the Amagi has already lost 1/4 of his health. The Amagi is going to have some assistance from AA, and your bombing ability to bomb the Summers is kind of sus. Depends on how you're going to pull it off. This might matter. But right now, the Summers is against a Colombo Petro. Petro can deal with him. I guess you could just hover him? Maybe the Amagi's not a huge threat. I suppose you can shoot at the Petro. This is a tough choice. Do you choose the DD or do you choose the Amagi? I think if you strike the Amagi, you don't get multiple strikes because of AA from this, which means you probably do have to divert onto the DD. You had a decent strike that you aborted. Don't be afraid to engine boost. Petro lights radar, which is cool. Summers is looking to YOLO. He's looking to make a big play. And your Colombo is going to give it to him. Unless the Petro has Hydro,
Concentrate fire on the designated
this is kind of scary. I don't play on EU, but I think Liu or whatever is one of the better regarded clans. So the good news is the Summer gets clapped by your Petro. The rough news is your Petro is now against 4 ships, not against 3.
Enemy cruiser.
But he's going down, so you are bailing. You might be able to catch the Balti, which I think is what you're looking for, but he goes down, which is cool. Burgoyne's AA is actually not great. So you can absolutely try to work on this. Need to work on your positioning for the reticle.
fighter airborne. Concentrate fire on the enemy warship.
Good line. Realistically, you don't want to be torping unless somebody's held on a specific line. You drop with one plane here. But coming out with bombers is the big thing, because the Burgon's AA is not good enough. You're turning in too soon. So, what you want to do... enemy Burgon was here. Enemy Burgon was here. You dropped your reticle here, which is good. Because you can move this reticle onto him, especially if you slow down. Because your planes are going to keep moving forward, but if you slow down, you'd probably be alright. So, instead of your planes coming in on this line toward the reticle, until the reticle's maybe whatever. Let me adjust this position. Let me redraw this real quick. Come on, go away. So let's put the Burgon's here. You're gonna put your reticle in this position because your planes are coming up from this direction, which is great. You got to about here where you gave up on the curl and you started just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna take this line. And the Burgon ultimately was on, say, this line. So you're skewing the drop. You didn't have to, though. There was nothing stopping you from just continuing forward and then cutting over while you had this correct line. Like, you committed here, you could have committed there and gotten a better strike. It might work out for you. You might get 6 bombs out of 6 or whatever. But that's the second time you kind of turned in a little too early. So you might want to kind of try that out in a training room where you just bomb your ship or something, have it spin in a circle. 5 out of 6. And you should be able to get a second drop in, which you do. If you have a chance, you want to try to include either the aft or the nose in the bombing reticle because these are unsaturated. Got some damage. Torpedoes are the wrong choice because you don't have a line on him. If he literally just sits where he is, you don't have a line to torp him. You have to go all the way around to torp him from the other side. Rockets would be the correct choice. Especially because you probably in-capped or lit a fire that he damage conned. You might light another fire. Yeah, it's too close. There's nothing there. So your bombs are back up. The Amagi versus the Burgon. That's tough. Thankfully, he eats 2 torpedoes, so that's a kill.
We've destroyed an enemy battleship.
Oh, I don't know if you get this drop. You get this drop with 2 planes? Once again, I think it's rockets at this point. So the tiny the HVARs have 33 mil pen. The Burgon is covered with 32. It's a French battleship. Anywhere you hit, other than guns, is a pen. It's damage. Plus you have fire chance. I mean, the rockets aren't that scary. You should be using rockets. Right now, if you're just trying to torp this dude while he's open water, he's just gonna keep turning. He doesn't care. Kiev is lit. He's just gonna juke the torps. So bombs are obviously the best weapon, but no. There we go. Now he's down. Bombs are obviously the best weapon because he doesn't have the AA to really fight off multiple bomb strikes, and the bombs are very severe amounts of damage. Why are you not on the Kiev? Okay, so you're just trying to like clean issues off the map. Okay. Okay. I mean, the 2 destroyers are extremely important, but at the same time, you don't really have the ability to just handle the situation. Not in a way that somehow rescues, you know, the cap or anything. So, just focusing on the stuff that you can focus on is working out. The hell? Oh.
Problem solved, sir.
All right, so there's a Hindenburg somewhere. There's a single DD, and then there's the Pommern that's. This dude's on a cruise. He's just enjoying his vacation.
Torpedoes, direct front.
Cool. I like the linger instead of the rushed shot.
All stations.
Might be a kill.
That's how it's
It's
done.
not, but it's close.
Provide anti-aircraft fire support.
Torpedoes to port.
The only thing that could strike the Pommern is you and the Goliath. The Goliath and you don't kill the Pommern. Not with what you've got. You strike the Pommern once, maybe you rocket him. That's not the play. The play right now is to watch these guys and make sure that the Jean Bart doesn't get killed, that you don't get killed. So the Richthofen over here, or maybe the Oland. You're going to want to give information on this. Pommern's not a threat right now. Pommern's off in no man's land. You are, what, 14? You're about 17-something clicks from the Pommern. As long as you're showing your deck and the direction of him, he's probably not even going to be able to do anything to you. So, okay, going in on the Richthofen is better. You're not going to do amazing, but I mean, you can bomb through his deck for fun, and you might happen to see the Uland while you were doing it. This is a problem,
Intelligence data.
because you're turning to where a Pommern could hit you. It's fine drop. And you guys are taking B, you get a point lead, that secures it, it's done. So that's cool. Whatever. Apply. Did I tell him that I started the replay? Whatever. Okay. One more. One more? Right. One more. Boop. Right. Chat's gone dead on me. I hope you guys are okay out there. Don't die, chat. Okay, so this is a ranked battle. Brains. Hello, Hellstrom. Alrighty, so we have a Ryujo, double DD. Nizeno has a pretty significant AA. Visser is a threat to the buddy. Bomb threat on the Bayern Nizeno. I don't know about the Colorado. And the DDs get to kind of do what they're going to do.
Good luck and fair seas.
So one of the nice things with the Ryujo is you have very low aerial detection. Surface detection is more significant, but aerial detection extremely low. So it's actually quite unlikely that the enemy CV just kind of hovers you to take battleship shells. So I think at this point you might be committing for the destroyer down here, but you literally don't have any spotted ribbons. All of these things were spotted by the DDs. Spinning in circles on top of them doesn't net you anything. Like, it's not getting you any additional information. It's not getting you any additional pressure. If you want to drop a fighter over them, drop a fighter. People know that they're in here. They can see that it's being capped. That was a little strange. Most likely the destroyer entered from down here and is still on this half of the cap. So you might see him over there, but I think it's extremely unlikely. Okay, with this particular maneuver, there is something which I call, let me change this. Right. There's something that I call a hard cut. What is the hard cut? Actually, I suppose I could just do this all formally. What is a hard cut? Alright, so let's try and do this. We'll do a reticle thing, then we'll do another reticle thing. We'll elongate this little bit. Okay, what is a hard cut? So there are some planes which actually have access to this ability. So we can just go ahead and type this out. The IJN can do it. The Germans can do it. And the British can do it. The US, unfortunately, they lost that ability at some point in some patch, somewhere, or something. It just is what it is. But these three have access to the ability of what's called a hard cut. Or at least I call a hard cut. So if you've got your planes, realistically, so your planes are coming in, and they're going to commit to a strike. Now, this might take 3.5 kilometers with its prep phase. So your initial reticle probably starts back here. It's zooming in, and this is where it comes active. So you actually start, and over the course of 3.5 kilometers, you take your shot from here or something. Well, 3.5 kilometers is actually pretty tough in terms of spotting a destroyer. So what happens if you do see this, you know, little lollyboat that needs his cheeks clapped? If this more likely is going to have something like 2.5 kilometer detection, maybe out to 3. Well, obviously, if you need 3.5 to make the strike, and you can't see them until 2.5 to 3, well, that's going to be a problem. But you can bleed distance. If this preparation phase takes approximately 2 to 4 seconds, when you've got your rockets going in this direction and you happen to see the destroyer, you pull forward, you start your attack here. So this is your beginning part of the reticle. You pull forward and you wrench it over during the prep phase. So because you've taken what was a 4-second movement and you've now bled off maybe say 2 seconds in this turn, you've turned this 4-second movement into a 2-second movement, which means suddenly this reticle goes active right here. So instead of having that overfly situation, you bled distance so that you can actually cut in. Also, it allows you the ability to cut a 90-degree turn so that you can try to strike a broadside in a way that a destroyer might not have expected. There are rocket changes coming on the PTS, which will slightly affect, you know, what can do this. Right now, the rocket planes on the Japanese are 4 seconds. They're going to be reduced down to 2. So the hard cut is actually going to be reduced in capability in the future. But for right now, that is something to pay attention to. Okay. Alright, so we'll go back to this. So we end up getting overfly, is what it is. No reset there. Like right here, 2.5 clicks, start your attack, slam on the brakes, wrench the reticle over. It'll take approximately 2 seconds. The reticle will land about here, and as you start moving in, the reticle places on top of the DDU fire. Instead, now see, that actually worked. So rather than doing the 90-degree turn, this is more like a 30-degree turn. But you still have that 2.4 seconds as opposed to maybe like 1.8 or 1.5. I don't think that results in an overturn, especially since he's slowing down. But that's just to kind of describe the concept.
Get back!
Alright, so this is a ranked game. It's 1 cap to 1 cap. Your Byron is suiciding. He's gonna 1v4. He's gonna go in there, be the hero, murder everybody. He's gonna just like throw fucking grenades onto decks and just blap people. Boom, you're gone. Bah, you're gone. He's gonna just like hop over, just like literally jump out of the water over the Z-39's torps. This dude's just gonna like Super Saiyan it all up in this bitch. Meanwhile, 3 against 2. Graf Spee is imitating the Byron on the other side of the map, while the Fubuki is like, nope. And the buddy hasn't committed. After this guy dies, Colorado gets focused. I think you have to work this side to try to finish this issue off. They're going to finish your Bayern for you, so you don't have to worry about that. If the Graf goes down to the ships, you hover the Fubuki, they hopefully finish the kill, and then you try to work on this remaining section of the map. Ooh, do you get a torp there? No, that's too bad. So, yeah, Buddy was playing super safe. So Grafspay fed himself to your team, so they're all like, yeah. Bayern fed himself to their teams, they're all like, yeah. They're looking at the Colorado like he's the next snack. Meanwhile, you should be looking at the Fubuki like it's the next snack. But you've got bombs out for the Gneisenau. If you're gonna do something, it needs to result in a kill. Gneisenau's AA is not bad, plus it's got a Colorado that's gonna be chipping in an extra little bit of love. You get one strike on the Gneisenau, you're gonna hit this dude for as much as 9,000 damage, and he's still gonna have 28,000 against the Colorado that's probably just gonna eat death from multiple angles. They get the 2 citadels. You're not gonna get another attack. Got it. Okay, Fubuki goes down. Awesome. Your team handled the situation. They didn't need you at all. So at least you got your damage in the most effective spot, being the Gneisenau, especially because it was citadel damage. Don't throw away your rockets because that Z39 is still a problem. You know, torps on the Gneisenau, bombs. You want citadel damage. You want something that the battleship is not going to be healing readily. You want the damage to stick. That's a good drop. That's 2 in the side. You might get another drop here. Yes, you do. 2 more. Not a kill, but it's close. Good. He's critically wounded. He's trying to heal. Thankfully, citadel damage doesn't heal very well, so he's pretty much crippled, which he kind of needs to be because you don't... What the hell is this? Okay, you got some secret mission teammates. So they have decided that the OOCV is absolutely more important than the 3 battleships that are running the Budnoy and you off of the map. Right. Well, if you get some citadels here, you finish off the Gneisenau. That's looking pretty good. Colorado is a lot of health. Warspite is a lot of health. And these dudes are going to take like 4 minutes to actually figure out what side that the battle is going on. So right now they just, you know, like high-fived. Oh man, we got him, bro. Yeah. Meanwhile, fuck! All right, so this is where we need to be thinking, what can we do that matters? Colorado, Budnoy's half. Colorado's 56,000 health. You're still running. You probably don't get clapped. You probably get to the island, which would be fine, really. As soon as you get behind an island, the Colorado is so damn slow, he's not going to chase you down. So the Gneisenau is either going to eat torps from the Z or fire into the Warspite. So right now, the Warspite is the most important thing on the map to go after with torps or bombs. If you torp the Colorado, he's not going to care. He's going to eat the torps, keep coming over, and take A. If you bomb the Colorado, he's not going to care. He's going to take the bombs, keep coming over, and take A. The Warspite, however, if the sooner you get this off the map, the sooner the Gneisenau realizes there's something else to shoot. And then you might have more resets on the Colorado between the Buddy and the Gneisenau, and maybe the Akatsuki somehow counteracts the Z or something. Realistically, you go for the Warspite, then you use your rockets, assuming you still have some rockets, to go haunt the Z. And allow like a backcapping situation so that you can make sure that you're accruing all the points you need to get. See, the Colorado's just not the choice here. You might get 1 torp into it, you lose this plane, you probably even lose that plane before it can drop. Yep, you do. So it's not going to result in anything. The Colorado has too much health. It's got pretty decent AA. Whereas the Warspite, you can actually get Citadels into. No, no. All right, so at this point, you're getting resets. The Gneisenau is... dodging torps, maybe? I don't know what's happening there. At least the Gaide is, you know, has a head on his shoulders. Good. Warspite needed to lead a little more there. Don't put yourself in timeout. You don't have to put yourself in the naughty corner. You can just use the island. Colorado might have to go around the island to get you, but that's okay. You can play Ring Around the Rosie with the Colorado all day if you want. Still, you got to stay on that. You still have to stay on the Warspite.
The enemy is about to win.
Okay, so you lost the battleship and the DD. And you struck the Colorado, you set a fire, but it doesn't matter. He puts it out. You don't have the resources to be able to kill this. You do have the resources to kill the Warspite. Gotta be looking at the Warspite or the Z. Both of these are sources of points. Gaide has no health. If you deal with the Warspite, if you deal with the Z, this guy backcaps Bravo. You win. You not only get points off of this, but you get additional caps. You cannot dick with this Colorado. You can't kill. This is where somebody on a forum somewhere goes, but CVs are OP. And you get to look at this and go, but how do you deal with this situation? The answer is you don't. You got to deal with what you can deal with. Z is backcapping Charlie. You guys are losing the point lead. Maybe the buddy pulls off some Hail Mary BS here. Maybe. Colorado has less health than the Warspite now. Matter. Oh dear God. You need to move your hull. You need to be ring around the rosing with this dude. This is painful. This might result in something. That's just there. Yeah, it was there was a lot of good target selection that turned out there. The Fubuki did not need assistance getting killed, which is great. So that worked out in your favor. You had a bunch of teammates that suicided. There's only so much that you can do in that situation. But just imagine you got 45,000 damage into a Colorado. What happens if you got that if you put that damage into the Warspite? What happens if the Warspite was dead and then you had rocket planes for the Z before the Z killed your teammates and you had those two teammates left? Like, that changes the entire course of the match. Even if the Colorado runs around the island and kills you, although theoretically you're faster than a Colorado, so you should just be able to like ring around the rosy with that bitch, because you have planes. You'll see him, he can't see you. You could just, like, you know, do the Benny Hill song with the Colorado as long as you want. His health doesn't mean shit if he literally can't shoot anybody because he's chasing the CV. Yeah, Warspite Z. You gotta put the damage where it matters. And the only reason you got even close to killing the Colorado was because the Budnoi decided to come out of cover and just kind of help some. He probably did like 15 to 25k, and even still the Colorado didn't go down while it shattered tons and tons of planes. So definitely gotta look at what you can do. And in that case, the Colorado just wasn't a viable target.